All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being a part of our session this morning. Um, Pleased to see so many folks jumping on board here. My name is Ken Potoff. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of CTECS. Um, I'm learning, as most of us are, how to be a host and navigate this, so I apologize in advance if I'm not getting all this right. Anyway, I just want to, again, thank you for being here. Darren, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Hey everybody, I'm Darren. I'm an instructional designer with CTECS.
And we're just going to spend a few moments kind of introducing our session and talking about just a very, very brief history of our organization. This session is about workplace readiness skills, sometimes called employability skills, career ready skills, etc. But I'm sure it's a term that you're very familiar with. We're also going to be, Darren mainly is going to be talking about the middle school career interest development project that we're doing. And our goal is to, share with you what we're doing in the area of social emotional learning and what we're doing in the area of career exploration and workplace readiness. And Darren will kind of take you through the difference between sort of the middle school scope and then the secondary ed and adult ed approach. Go to the next slide, please. So again, our agenda, CTECS, our mission, our model, current initiatives. I've kind of already mentioned a couple of these. We'll share with you some resources for instructors and the assessments that we're working in. And then again, talk about career interest, the research, goals, creations, and so on, work behind it. Okay. All right. So as an organization, we have been in existence as a non-for-profit since 1973. We're based in Decatur, Georgia, which is an urban suburb of Atlanta. Um, Darren is working remotely in Richmond, but we have actually had 45 states be a part of our organization since our inception. Um, we're recognized for developing industry validated standards, mainly at the secondary ed level. We use these standards with industry to develop technical skills assessments, mainly into programs, some course assessments. That work is done with mainly secondary ed, but also post-secondary articulation and dual credit. And then, of course, we work with industry to make sure that the test questions are properly validated. So, like any good criterion reference test, it's about the validity and reliability of the test questions. Our model will show you briefly, but I'm sure it's something that you've seen before. But the goal is not the testing. It's to how do you use industry standards and a systemic instructional design program to drive program improvement. So the goal, of course, is that programs get better. Students want to take the courses, want to take the curriculum, want to take the assessments, and understand the purpose behind them. So like any good assessment organization, you've got to be clear on what you're designing, what the purpose of why you're testing. Of course, in 2006, when with the birth of Perkins 4, a huge incentive was the accountability program that was obviously funded through Perkins to make sure schools across the nation are doing technical skills attainment. So it was a very popular program at the time. There's been now with Perkins 5 more emphasis on middle school assessment. And not just assessment, but how do you start to have the conversations about the workplace and about young people's career interest at the 6th through 8th grade level. So that's a big endeavor we're involved in. But we're really a best practices resource repository. Darren, you can go to the next slide and I'll talk a little bit about who we've worked with over the years. This is just a snapshot. It's not meant to be exhaustive. It's to give you an example of some of the entities that we've partnered with over the years. Our current main focus is the secondary and adult ed programs you see. Now, all of these states will be working with us at some level in the next couple of years over our middle school work, some more heavily than others. But California, Idaho, Kentucky, Maine, Nevada, Oregon, South Carolina, and Virginia are our current active partners in terms of secondary ed. And then you see some other examples. Okay. All right. So I think I've kind of talked about the mission. I mentioned our model. The goal from the beginning is to be organized, be aligned with the stakeholders, make sure they understand the purpose. And for us, that's meant traditionally government, post-secondary, industry, and secondary ed. How do you get those three entities to realize they have more often than not the same goal, the same vision for what they're trying to do? So to kind of get everyone, sometimes I feel like we're referees. Our goal is to get people to sort of see they have the same purpose, but their way of getting there may be a little different. So a lot of that is our job. We work with the teachers. The main liaison is the Department of Education. So we have a board of trustees where the CT directors sit on our board and provide overall policy guidance for what our organization should be. Workplace readiness has been a big part of that since 2010, 2011, and then most recently in middle school. But this kind of shows our overall steps. I'll summarize it very briefly. Once you have an industry validated critical analysis done on your standards, meaning you ask industry which of the body of work in these standards is looking at the body of work, which standards are the most critical, meaning high frequency. You think about things like, or high criticality, you think about things like safety. Every program has an OSHA component, just about, particularly in the skilled trades. So the goal is to find out what are the highlights, what are the most important survival skills that are needed, and then to work with an assessment team to develop test banks or item banks, and then to draw on those to create a pilot test to do a proper item analysis. Everything's online unless you're meeting with the people in person. So there is a lot of steps that are required in this model. And then lastly, once the test is live and you have some data behind it, to do a modified Angoff cut score, which is a common methodology that particular procedure has been around since the early 1970s. So that's kind of the whole picture. Then you, of course, have to revalidate. You never want to leave a test out there for 5 years. You want to come back to it every couple years, make adjustments, get the team back together if needed. Areas with law, with health, with IT tend to change more dramatically. But a lot of the trick lately has been how do you create programs for the future? Because we often don't know the future and when you have emerging industries. But anyway, to say all this is to say the goal is to create programs that will support instructors, support the students, and the visions of the schools and the state, with some federal guidance, but I use the word some. Okay, I think that's my main part. Looking to see if there are, still looking for the chat room. I don't see that yet, but that's kind of the introduction. Darren, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for introducing the organization. I wanted to say a little bit about sort of what's in it for our audience in Tennessee as CTE educators. We are very familiar with working with different states and whole CTE programs within states. And one of the things, as Ken mentioned, that we do out of this is that we pool resources between our state members, and some of the things that we develop in one place, of course, is shared by the other members, and that's sort of what our membership and consortium is all about. However, we are changing that model just a little bit over the upcoming years because so many people need things online and right away. And so we offer this workplace readiness skills assessment, but really it's a combination of the skills development, which are heavily researched. Our research is through Weldon Cooper Institute and University of Virginia. It's a demographics workforce group there. And then we developed the test actually on top of that. We expected teachers would kind of sort of be able to teach these things because workplace readiness skills are the soft skills, or actually they have a lot of social emotional learning built into them. And we kind of thought that they had resources on hand. I think we were a bit mistaken. And so we went back to the drawing board and we started to create instructional materials, and we have those out there, and they're accessible by you as well. And so we want you to kind of take a look at those, see if you sort of buy into the idea of the skills and what they are, and we think you'll like them. We think it's the best researched skills list for workplace readiness skills in the country. And we're growing. Our audience is growing. We just added California as a state, and we can set things up on a local level. And what's more, we can set things up in a pilot level. So we don't need to exchange. It doesn't need to be transactional. It can just be, let's see if it works. Let's take the car out for a drive. Let's kick the tires a little bit and see if this is right for you, because we think it's the best list out there for anyone who is interested in sort of teaching the hard to reach areas of career education that often are left out from a comprehensive program which focuses on technical skills, which it should. But I think a lot of teachers in CTE are not necessarily career education professionals. And so we wanted to give them these very easy to use, easy to apply, quick activities that they can give to these different populations. So the high school population, and we're just starting to develop stuff for the middle school level, and that's mainly in, of course, has to do with Perkins funding shifting. Of course, our board of directors is directing us to do that as well. We've really enjoyed that, actually. It's been very creative. We think we have good resources out there, and we're just about to pilot the online course, a totally sort of immersive online course in the middle school level, whereas the high school stuff is on a website. So I'm going to show you the resources that we have available even to people in Tennessee who are not members of our consortium, so that they can try us out and apply us and see if they want to start a conversation, take it farther than that. And also, perhaps you want to add to those resources, or you have resources on hand. I know that both our polling questions have to do with, are you interested in this material, or is there something more we can do for you, or what are you using right now to satisfy, which is really what a federal mandate from Perkins about teaching employability skills or workplace readiness skills in the classroom in every CTE program. So that's kind of the route we've taken it. Of course, we've tied this to graduation requirements in different states as well, like Nevada, Idaho, Virginia. So while it's not mandatory, the teaching of the skills is basically mandatory. The test may not be mandatory in these states, but if students want to test, they can actually get that test, hopefully pass that test, and it's good for all student populations. So let's talk about outcomes a little before we get into the web tour. We're asking you to use our free curriculum materials, and that is available to you. I'll show you around. We're asking you also to spread the word. We think this is good. This is why we come to conferences, because we want to build a critical mass of participants in this program, and we want to get feedback, and we want to improve our program. Simply, the more people that are using it, the better we get. So I think we have evolved over the recent years. The sort of the test was created in 2011 in the spring, and ever since then, in Virginia alone, I think we test about 80,000 students a year. Of course, we're in Nevada, some in Maine, Idaho, and now California is under a pilot as well. So we're kind of spreading out there, and we're having some success. So talk to us about setting up a free pilot if that's what's interesting to you. And let's customize CTECS to meet your needs. And maybe it's not the workplace readiness skills that you're into, but maybe it's end of program assessment that you don't have a good certification option for that course or program. So why assess in the first place? And I'm talking about workplace readiness skills, but it ensures that the skills are being taught in the classroom. So Virginia, what they did was they came up with a great skills list, and which we actually contributed to, and then they asked us to create the test on the back end. But what they wanted is some accountability in the classroom that said the students are actually getting it. Then, since then, we've actually created a pre-test and a post-test, and now a student can take it as a pre-test, a post-test, and 2 additional retakes if they don't pass it. We give them instructional materials in addition to just having a test out there, an online test. And so we think that has really improved the skills, and we have success in doing that. Virginia is sort of our biggest player in this, and we often use them as an example for what's working and how we've evolved. So if you want to see a success story, go to Virginia and see what they've done there. It's used in program improvement. I think that's our big motto. Is in our organization is really about what are we all about? Why do we test? It's to actually get people to understand, to close the gap between what is taught in the classroom and what is practiced in the workplace. And we just need some meter on that to understand what's being done. So it provides real world learning and job application as well. It increases positive student outlook beyond high school. We think it incentivizes students. We know that once they earn a digital badge or a credential, that they are sort of hungry for more. This is a naturally occurring experience. And it also does this other thing. It has a way of uniting schools and communities, and we're starting to get anecdotal evidence from our participants in our other meetings that this workplace readiness skills has already been impactful within their jobs or in their hiring trends. So they're seeing kids with it. So let's talk about the instructional resources. We've talked some about our organization. We've talked about the theory of the test. And now we just want to get into the web tour, and I want to show you around to our resources. So this is our main website for just the resources. We have another site that's set up for administration of tests, and that's ctex.org. But this is wrsctex.org. That stands for Workplace Readiness Skills. We offer modules for each of 22 skills. That skills list was recently updated by the University of Virginia Weldon Cooper Center under their research model. We do this every 8 to 10 years to keep current with the workplace. We'll probably have to do another one very shortly because of the pandemic is changing the way we work. And I think the expectations are also changing a bit. Certain things stay true. But I think being online and being virtual is really a big changer in the industry as a whole. And also the unemployment currently, and what we're doing with retirees and who is entering the workplace. I think everything, all those things are changing or likely to change if they haven't already. So we offer modules for each of the skills that we have, and I'll show you that. We offer vocabulary through Quizlet, so you link out to Quizlet. Quizlet, if you're not familiar with that, I'm sure you probably are, but it allows you to take vocabulary in sort of a very dynamic way and to learn it. It allows students to actually play interactive games with the vocabulary on their own and actually test themselves and see what they can retain. vocabulary, we think, is a big part of workplace readiness skills success. Actually, it's at least, you know, bearing on half of the test questions, and we think that, you know, coming out with a good terminology list is a good skill within itself, and aids communication in the workplace. Quizzes, we also offer quizzes. These are usually retired questions from our tests, and we think a lot of students like these things. It actually reduces their stress level as they get into the actual test. Again, the test isn't required in any way, but we are still having good success at offering it to students, and students want to take the test to prove their skills. Basically, essentially, that's what it is. Okay, and for teachers, we have this other side, so that we have one portion of our website for students, which involves all those other things. For teachers, we do this other sort of thing. We turn it into more of a blog experience, and we're focusing on best practices, how to implement as non-career educators necessarily, except by using their own experience, how to become sort of career education experts, how to launch this material, these materials successfully inside the classroom without wasting a lot of time. And we think that has been successful. We would like to get more participation on that particular blog site. But we do present helpful articles, instructional videos and things to teachers as we glean them ourselves, as we come into them ourselves. So we have info on administering the exam, of course. There's some technical requirements to that. You can find a lot of that stuff out as far as accommodations and things like that, the technical portion of the IT, which is very minimal. All of that can be found online. And then opportunity for teachers to contribute to the site. So we want teachers to enter into conversations with each other. And in a blog format, we can do that by just soliciting comments from teachers on our articles or anything we put out there as far as like a digital badge instructional experience, how students come to it, what is it there for, and things like that. So we think that it continues to grow in positive directions. Now, before we get into the middle school, I'm going to take you out, and I'm going to leave this PowerPoint for a minute, and hopefully you can see this screen now. Ken, can you see this screen? Are we out of the PowerPoint?
I currently can only see the PowerPoint.
You can only see the PowerPoint. Okay. So that means we're in sort of a presentation mode. Let me just...
There you go. It just showed up.
yeah.
But yeah, we're good.
Can I minimize that now? Okay. Are we good?
Nope, it's on the PowerPoint.
It's still on the PowerPoint. Okay. Well, let me just close the PowerPoint then.
For a second it was not.
Okay. Are we good now?
On mine, it's still there.
Still there. The PowerPoint is not open, so that confuses me. Oh, my screen sharing is paused for the moment. Let's not do that. Resume share.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. I'm lost. Okay. Well, let's go back here.
Make host. I could make you the full host. Try that.
Try it. Sorry, folks. Bear with us for a sec.
Yeah, you're the host, but it's still see the PowerPoint slides or whatever.
Yeah, my screen sharing. There we go. It started again.
There you go. Oh, you were on it. I can see what you're doing, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, it pauses it every time I close my... It has something to do with the screen share. New share. Hold on. I got it. I had to switch my view, I think.
There you go.
Okay.
Just
Sorry about that, folks. Okay,
there we
we're
go. We're
on
good.
our website for workplace readiness skills, ctex.org, and I'm going into practice. I told you there were two main features of this site that helped you retrieve free resources. This is the student section, but the student section gives a broader view of everything that we offer on our test and what the test is all about as well. So we're actually going through our modules here. You'll see quizzes on the side here. The Virginia and California lists are a bit different, which is why we've actually created two different sort of parallel versions or visions of this material. But quizzes are these questions will actually repeat in the California. So just pick your state. I would suggest picking the Virginia example and going into the quizzes. These are, again, retired questions that students can complete online and just go through the process. This is quiz 1, an example of that, and they can actually choose that's the incorrect answer. So just to give you an example of what they can do there. And it will actually tell them how many they got right, how many they missed, and they aren't terribly long either. It breaks the skills into categories, which I think is very helpful for students. And again, it reduces their stress level. It kind of gets them into the style of the questions. And I know we're approaching 11 o'clock, so I kind of get through this. But this is the main portion of our modules here. And when I said we had 22 skills, you can go down here. They're split into different categories. They go all the way through workplace safety down here at the bottom. So at the top, creativity, critical thinking, initiatives and self-direction, integrity and work ethic. I think a lot of these are social-emotional skills. And we'll be talking a little bit about that in the middle school because I think that's really propelling our middle school work. And then we have professional competencies, big picture thinking, career and life management, continuous learning and adaptability, efficiency and productivity. You know, I could go on here, but these should give you some indication of what these skills are beyond the technical skills approach that I think CTE teachers and programs typically take. So again, these are available to you. We want you to go into, say, one of the modules here. We'll pick just the top one, creativity and innovation. We're going to tell you what the research has told us this is all about. This section is all about. It can't be about everything. We have to actually make it teachable. And so we've given just a few bullet points under here for what the skill actually is. And then we have featured resources and sort of secondary resources. So the secondary resource stuff is either from our consortium members or built with the help of the interweb, and the featured resources are really resources built in-house or with our good partner CTE Resource Center in Richmond, Virginia. So we also have some California materials on this one particular, brainstorm skateboarding. These again are built specifically for students. And if we just went into one of them, say this watch design, this will be static PDF here, but it will often link to a variety of different resources online, YouTube video. And in this one, it's called The Influence of Design. Students are actually asked to build a very quick watch design. And then the teacher reviews it, but then the teacher is directed after the student learns a bit about techniques to help their creativity. The teacher actually changes course on them. And so when they turn in their initial design, the teacher says something like, and all of these are in the instructions here, but the idea is let's change it or let's revise it to reflect more what our client wants now, which is something to do with the environment and environmental concern. And so what you've got here is a number of crossover skills going on. You've got revision as a chief sort of energy source of creativity and innovation. So revision is taking something and making it better. That's what innovation is. That's what revision is. And so we want the students to be able to see this and break it out, that a product is not really done just when you think it is. You have to go back and constantly innovate to improve it. So I think that's one of the things. The ecology or the environmental concern puts it sort of into a modern context or a contemporary context. I think certain things like that are done. And I think it gives them an idea of workplace expectations and how things are likely to be reviewed. And maybe your first shot at a project is not really accepted. And maybe you have to go back to the drawing board. I think that's a common experience. You know, not everybody wins the first time around. So it really teaches them how to go back into things. And it really focuses on creativity and innovation as the essential skill that connects all of this. We also offer additional resources, YouTube video for teaching some technique, and ask them to think very logically about how they can improve their own creativity at any point. So that's kind of just an example of one of our activities. We offer typically videos and things like this down in more to see, think about, and do. And that's just one of our skills. All of these are different links for different resources that teachers can apply. We think they're great. They do not cost anything. They do not even require a password. So that's partly why we've included them within our materials. And we think this successfully teaches creativity. If you don't think that one does, there are 3 other activity modules for creativity and innovation to assist you to find the best sort of fit for your particular classroom. I think one of the key differences that separates our workplace skills material from other people is that we're really focused on every career path, not just a narrow focus. We're not trying to be a sort of an employment survey. We're not trying to be something that we're not. We're trying to appeal to every student if they're interested in career and technical education at all. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're offering as far as resources go. And you can take a look around. I won't beat it over the head, but I wanted to have a little time here, and we've got a few minutes to discuss the middle school program. I actually want to, Ken, you're going to have to tell me if this works because I might have to change my view again here. Are you seeing the
You're
middle
on it.
school? Okay,
Yep.
good.
Looking
Good. I'm
good.
glad of that. All right. I probably should have done this from the beginning. Okay. So we're here at the middle school level. Now we've discussed workplace readiness skills at the high school level, but we really haven't gotten into the middle school level until recently. And so it's been a new product for us to be able to get into this and do something for our membership in our consortium. We are offering this as an immersive online course, but we really see students coming back to school at some point and in the classroom, and we wanted to build it for both environments. So we think even if students, especially at the middle school level, are going to be working at home, they wouldn't really be taking complete online unguided courses without a pretty close teacher overview, teacher sort of guidance on this stuff. So we've kind of built a blended learning environment. That's kind of what we're all about. You can see our course content is really grouped under the different skills. We only have 7 skills or standards here. One is self-awareness. That first one, creativity, problem solving, honesty and ethics, motivation, communication, and career exploration. Now, I wanted to just say that these have been rigorously researched as well. We have a summit that we got together in March. Ken and I call it the last meeting on Earth because I think it occurred on March 13th. We came home from that meeting and we never left home after that. So it was a good meeting, 2-day meeting. Our steering committee for that meeting and continues to be very helpful in letting us know what we should be focused on. We have really come to this and really been excited and energized by what we've been finding out there on the topics of SEL, or social emotional learning. This is the sort of emotional and communication interactivity skills, communication skills that we think are vital to a student's progress, and not only in career and technical education, but in life. We think these are lifelong learning skills that they can, if they're given the opportunity to look at them and improve on them, which I think our course is always focused on, then we think they actually increase their academic improvement. We've seen research that says they do. And in academic performance tests like ACT, we are seeing an 11% jump in programs that actually focus on SEL. So we think that it's a big factor in how a student self-regulates. We think about self-efficacy. We think about how they think of themselves being successful in different situations and being confident. And you can see a lot of this as sort of the emotional well-being of students and making them feel accepted, making them feel sort of integrated into a larger program, a larger idea, and then still acting as an individual to explore on their own unique values, talents, aptitudes, to get them interested into a career. So we're really just focused on awareness here. Now, I could show you around a little bit here and maybe one of these. Well, let's go into the pandemic exercise just to give you a glimpse of what's included in this activity. Online, it's a nice picture, scary. Students, when they are asked to complete materials, they have this nice little assignment upload. They can browse to their files, completed files. Sometimes we supply these files online, and they can just link to those, upload it, and it will go immediately to a teacher gradebook. The teacher will be able to review that on their own time. The teacher will receive an email when that happens so that they won't be confused or blindsided. And we know that often students want to jump around in these courses. You can have 25 students working on a course and they can all be in a different spot. And we think this works online, actually. Some students move faster than others and move through course content a lot faster. We think this works as well. Or a teacher can have them hold on. They don't think they're learning quite enough or quite deeply enough. They can sort of monitor that student experience. So we're excited about this course. We have it split into, and I'll minimize this a little bit, but we have something for students, which gives the basic steps and the artifacts or the things they'll actually have to complete. And then it will link them again to Quizlet for vocabulary practice, which we think is essential. It also asks them before they even start doing the exercise to do a pre-assessment, which is open-ended, or sometimes multiple choice, but it really measures a gap between the activity assessment, which is the final activity portion or the final assessment portion, and the pre-assessment, so you can measure growth. But it also does this other thing. Pre-assessment actually prepares them for instruction. We think this all works together with our learning objectives that we've embedded in each activity. So we're excited. And we have this other bit, which is the teacher's guide for teaching this activity. We knew that you know, both parties would be looking at this material, and we needed to separate something for the teachers so that the teachers wouldn't worry about how they get into this information. We know that teachers have a varying degree of experience with teaching this sort of material to students. We want them to be successful, so we're giving them additional materials that way so that we can ease their transition into this program. So that's kind of what we're all about. We've got about 10 or 12 activities loaded up already. We're under a review for that. Our timeline is to go through the fall in a free pilot, which we're going to monitor very closely, get feedback. Again, it's about program improvement, in this case, our own. And then you know, sort of finalize the activities, and we'll have about 35 activities built by the time we're done. So I'd like to get back to the PowerPoint presentation just to conclude with. Ken, can you see this PowerPoint?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. I think I'll just keep it in the non-presenter portion here, and I'll go down here to the end of it. Activity and review and pilot. I just wanted to talk a little bit more, and I know we've only have 4 minutes here left in our time. Thank you for coming again. We hope you stick around. We hope you complete the polls. We're very excited about both of our initiatives here, and we're both excited to get in front of Tennessee, because we like to talk to new groups and groups that are outside of our own consortium to see what they're doing and to sort of collaborate a little bit if we can. So this is a great opportunity for us. But we wanted to say at the end, we kind of wanted to close with this idea, because we very much believe in SEL, and that belief came through our research and through our steering committee specifically. But students become independent critical thinkers through SEL, or at least SEL helps them do this. And it really focuses on adding context to their learning and reinforcing goal-directed and self-regulated behaviors, which we think are essential as well. We get them to believe in themselves. And I think this is the part that is often missing in just a standard education, and it is more than technical skills. It is human skill. And we're helping students work better together. I think that's what SEL helps them do. And we're also filling a need and addressing much of what has thus far been left out. Now, to close, we're also helping students to become more informed about their relationship to the world of work, more eager to learn, more incentivized to learn, to attain goals. Actually, the online course actually helps them do this. Digital badging and micro badging actually helps them do this. They're sort of more aware of how they learn, what types of learner they are, and what works for them, because not always the same strategy works for the same learner. They're also more inclined to pursue CTE courses at the secondary and post-secondary levels. But, you know, when you're in middle school, we're not really preparing them for a career. We just want to prepare them to have some interest in a career, to become more aware, and to believe that even though the jobs may not exist where they live, that they could go beyond where they are. And also because the economy changes by the time they get out of a high school or college education. So we know that teaching technical skills at the middle school level, while it adds context and workplace experience, we don't necessarily believe those jobs and those skills will actually be the ones that are focused on by the time they graduate into the workforce. So they're more inclined to pursue CTE courses. We think this will help with enrollments. We think it will push CTE programs to actually evolve at the secondary level and post-secondary for that matter. And they become more purposeful and focused in their own career education and again, believe in themselves. And I think that's the big push, and that's what's important to us these days. Now, I was told we were to add this word, Mississippi, at the end of it. Ken, I'm going to go ahead and close and just ask for Q&A at this point to start, but did you want to say anything here at the end? We're at 11:14.
No, just know that please follow up if you have interest in learning more about what we're doing. But I did want to point out that the workplace readiness work at the secondary level very much does apply to apprenticeship programs, post-secondary, and actually a lot of adult ed programs. So adult ed learners do use that assessment and those resources. So it's not just secondary ed, but that's just kind of obviously our main focus as a consortium. So thank you for being on today, and we're looking forward to your questions here. Darren, I know that I gave you total control, and it doesn't matter to me. But I can no longer see the chat. Well, I never saw it before, to be honest. But I do not see the poll either anymore. But that's probably because I gave you total control. Do you see anything?
I don't see a chat, but I do see that several members have raised their hands. I'll call on Nathaniel Hudson to comment.
Okay. Great. You mentioned the online badging. I wanted to ask, I'm familiar with the badging system through other industry certification like Microsoft Office Specialist, and those go through a program called Acclaim by Credly. I wanted to see if that was the same, or is it your own software that does the badging, or how does that work?
Currently, we're using Acclaim and Credly, and we think that we're going to stick with them for as long as that. Right now, we only offer badging through our test. So if you're successful, passing score, which is 75% on the test, then you can get a digital badge. You can claim it out. I like that people are familiar, like yourselves, with this process because it can be a little sticky, especially if students do it on their own. Go ahead. Yeah, we're going to stick with the digital badge. We don't know necessarily if we're going to stick totally with Acclaim and Credly, but so far we're under contract with them for another year, so we're good.
Look, it's like Sean had a question as well. Sean Tester.
Yeah, Sean Tester. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the key word was. I must have missed it.
Mississippi.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no problem. You got to spell it correctly too.
No, I didn't do that.
I think I got it.
You got to sing the song, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I need to unmute some people. Nathaniel, we already called on you, didn't we? Daphne Harvey. How's that?
Yes. I work in a correctional facility.
Yes.
I was just curious if this can be used on a standalone computer without internet.
Well, we have had, I know juvenile justice programs and some correctional institutions have used it, but it has been online in a lab. I know that some correction programs are moving to allow online usage under a proctored environment. So in terms of a standalone computer without the internet, we don't right now offer that. But if you're interested, I'm happy to talk to you about ways to solve that if there are ways.
Oh, can you use the material as far as printing it and using it in the classroom?
Excuse me. In terms of the curriculum activities, yes, you could print. Yeah. And yes, absolutely. Sure. But the actual test, the higher stakes test itself, is where we don't allow paper and pencil.
Yeah,
how can I even do a?
Yes.
Go ahead, please. Did we answer your question, Daphne?
Well, I was just going to ask one more thing.
Sure.
A lot of this goes along with, I teach career management,
Uh-huh.
and which goes along with the ethics and all the professionalism and
Good.
several, and a lot of these handouts and videos I could use. That's why I was asking.
Yes.
Okay.
Videos you're going to have to download, but most of those are, just out on the internet. So I'm sure you're familiar with how you go about that, but you can embed them into your material.
To do that, because some of my other material that was given me through a textbook, I had
Right.
to.
Right.
Yeah, but you can download and print the PDF documents or the resources throughout. So yeah, no problem.
Most of them is, even though I'm showing it to you online, it's really not necessarily web-based. So it's certainly not cloud-based. So we're good with that. We should be, most of it is static material that you should be able to download.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question.
Sure. Sarah?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, you're
Yes, ma'am.
perfect. Yes.
Because I can't see the chat or anything, so I can get credit for this class. But so far, I've enjoyed it. And one thing I like it
Okay.
about what you all are presenting, that we're giving middle school students an opportunity to become independent thinkers and to kind of like get an overview of what we're offering in our CTE programs on the high school level. So yes,
Yes.
I like that as well.
Yeah, we're learning a lot about the middle school mind. It was not really our sort of staple audience before, so we're a little bit out of touch. We use a lot of research, we use a lot of personnel to sort of inform our decisions about that. We think we've got a good thing going with that, and we think it's a great sort of spot in their lives where, yeah, a lot of things, decision making, logic might be a little bit underdeveloped typically in a middle schooler, but we have to be able to give resources to that student population to take advantage of the opportunity of what they still have. I think we talked a little bit about creativity at this point. And I think creativity, most adults I talk to say that they're not creative. And I think, well, if you asked a middle schooler if they were creative, I think that audience would be completely inverse on that answer if they speak up at all. But they would say that they are very creative. And I think creativity tends to get drummed out of you in your life. And it's mainly because it isn't prioritized. And if you don't use it, you sort of forget how to use it. And people are afraid. I think creativity, if I can speak a little bit longer about that, in particular creativity, is frightening to a lot of people because you often fail in creativity and you need to fail. You need to be able to fail successfully in creative pursuits in order to get to that place where you do have that good idea that sticks, but you have to have a whole lot of bad ones first, or you have to build on those bad ones and build from your mistakes. And that's really what it teaches you. And I just don't think that that's been around in a lot of education to this point. And I hope that it becomes more of a regular feature. So yeah, thank you for the question.
Hey, Ken and Darren, it's Miss TJ. Good morning, and thank you all
Good morning.
for the
Yes,
presentation.
thank you, Ms. Williams.
And I want you to know what you're doing is what's needed in the middle school level. And Darren, I think I heard you say you weren't really trying to teach them a trade.
Right.
What you need to, what I want to say is, in essence, you really are, but
Okay.
it's an opportunity to see what trades are out there and what may be. There's some jobs already that we don't know about that in middle school, if you prep them for career and technical education, if you'll just make ragu, take the academic and
Yep.
Mix it in with what we do with our hands. I'm an automotive person, but if
Right.
by the time they get to high school, you've lined up a bench. So if I know in middle school a kid is interested in automotive, I'm gonna hook them hook, line, and sinker right in.
Yeah.
go to a higher level than what your average high school kid would be, because they would have been introduced to the basics of it in middle school. And
I like that.
So often our kids need a roadmap. We think just because they're 2020 model kids that they know everything. They think they know everything, but really, if they live long enough, they'll find out they don't know anything at all. But
that's Socrates, right? That's the guy who said that.
CTE is the way of the future. And really, with us being with this pandemic, CTE is really ruling. If you say what rules, CTE does, because you all are offering some things virtually that is going to enhance when you do get them back in the physical. And I'm not going to take too much time, but I want to say,
I hope so.
This was good. I need an email. Could y'all give us your email? I mean, is it a secret?
No, not at all.
I mean, could you get somebody to type your email in the chat room or something, Darren?
I know. I need to figure out how to use the chat room. I can't even find it. So
okay, can you tell us what your email is?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Darren.
I'll give mine. Yeah, it's D as in Darren or dog, Morris, Morris, and it's at, and then the name of our organization, CTECS. So it's Career Technical Education Consortium of States. That's a long name. The acronym is ctex.org. We're a nonprofit.
And if you're wondering, we never did say, but you may have already figured out, if you really want to hear what CTECS stands for, it's the Career and Technical Education Consortium of States. That's a mouthful, hence the...
Yeah, I said it fast.
I thank y'all for using the alphabets, okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Ms. Williams, I believe in what you're saying too. I think what we're designing on the middle school level is really about sort of integrating within an existing technical skills program. So I want it to be able to be quick enough and versatile enough and comprehensive enough to be able to be included within what you're teaching them at a middle school level in automotive or nursing or whatever it is that they can go into, and that teachers can make use of it in different ways in order to really capitalize on that portion of career education that is often forgotten or left out. Because we know the technical skills are probably there. And that's been one of our strategies for this development, is that we don't want to design something that's so top heavy or so, that nobody would adopt it into their existing programs, because we think middle school programs already exist. We've been looking at several state models and what they offer in different places. We find that we could be a good fit and good help within that structure. So,
well, Darren, if y'all don't mind, I know we're running short on time. I'm gonna throw you a nugget, and it's not a chicken nugget; it's a nugget.
Okay.
If your curriculum would help people, students, teachers, communication skills is key in every area that you're gonna be in. We need to go back to teaching eye contact. We need to go back to teaching body language. We need to go back. We need to go back to the basics. So we've missed the basics. And so what the students are the basic communication skills. We need to tailor the work where the adult learns how to talk to the student instead of talking at the student. And when they get to a level where they're out meeting business owners and going to interview for jobs, then they have that etiquette just by their presentation. Somebody will take them and train them. If that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah.
If y'all take that nugget and dust it off a little bit, it'll shine. and I love it.
Well put.
I also want to say I was blessed enough to partner with Bridgestone. Of course, they own Firestone, and I have the first Firestone Center inside of my shop.
That's great.
We have 39 students. They hire them in the 11th grade, and they're working and they take care of their certification. So I'm telling you, we get mock interviews, and I'm telling you, if some kind of way you can work in your curriculum, mock interview skills, any kind of communication, soft skills will benefit the kids at a middle school level that'll take them far ahead of the average high high school student. We'll email. I'll send you my email and we can talk. This ain't my show. This is your show. Take it away.
No,
Oh,
I
you're
really
good.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
I really appreciate it. I mean, I think you're highlighting what our organization is all about, which is really communicating with the instructors. You know, Ken and I are not teaching in front of classrooms. We need information from people like you who are practitioners who are working, and we listen to you. And I told you before that we only have 10 or 12 activities developed so far. They're pretty good activities now, but we're going up to about 35 to 50 activities. Certainly that's going to be one of them now, just because you said it so well. And so I think we want to put that kind of material in there, and that's why we want to communicate with our audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken, I think we're about at time.
Yeah, I think we're good. I still confused about the chat and the poll, but that's okay. Maybe it will be there on the back end.
If anyone answered the poll, we'll be able to get those results after the meeting. So I think we'll be good there. If we've forgotten you on chat, we'll try to connect with you otherwise.
But if you go to ctex.org, you'll see our emails and our contacts, phone numbers. So feel free to reach out
Sure.
if you want to dialogue more. Thank you all. Be safe and be well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave, Darren.
Yes, I'm stopping now. And I'm ending. And I'm